just like they did that last one with Grand Rapids. We just took these 2.5 hours.
Use your phone.
No. I call the Public Safety and Public Works Committee meeting to order. We have Citizen Rep. Fields and Citizen Rep. Gunther. The first thing is the minutes. There was no meeting in January, so the minutes wasn't taken. First, we have
We had a meeting in December, no meeting in January.
January. Correct. Thank you, clerk. That's why you the clerk. Next, we have a presentation, Medic One.
Yeah, you gotta go up to the mic.
Well, thank you guys for inviting me. I appreciate the time. As you guys all know, Benton Harbor and Medic One have been partners for a long time, going back to 1977, which in and of itself is part of the problem which I'm here to talk to you about today. So Medic One was founded in 1977. Operationally, we really haven't changed much since then. So the way that we operate is we have advanced life support ambulances, or ALS ambulances, stationed 24 hours a day, and they respond to calls as they come in. That was what we call a static operational model. As time has gone on over the last 50 years, a lot of things has changed. Medic One really has not, as far as its operation, and it's time to really bring that operation up into 2025, not 1977. So what I'm looking to do is change the way that we operate. So instead of having advanced life support ambulances sitting in stations 24 hours a day and responding to every call, part of the problem with that is sometimes you have way too many ambulances and sometimes you don't have enough ambulances because call volume goes up and down. When you schedule statically, but your call volume is dynamic, you miss the mark a lot of the time. So what I want to do is change to a model that allows us some more dynamic, flexible scheduling. Less ambulances and resources when we need it, more when we need it. To do that, I think we go away from the static advanced life support model because if you look at calls we respond to versus patients who are taken to the hospital, we're responding with an advanced life support ambulance that requires a paramedic and an EMT. Paramedic is about a 3 to 4 year process through school and different things, and a much higher level of care. We respond to that 100% of the time now is our base model. But patients who are taken to the hospital really only get that advanced life support about 20% of the time. So it's really inefficient. If you add into that significant cost increases, significant hits post-COVID to ambulance work and folks just not wanting to be paramedics and EMTs anymore, staffing really becomes a problem, especially in the advanced life support side. So what I think we need to do, and a lot of very progressive systems are doing this now, this is becoming the standard, is change to where your basic life support model is more of your static system where your ambulances are stationed, those are your transport ambulances, and have a single paramedic providing advanced life support through an SUV type echo unit only when they're needed. Rather than sending them 100% of the time to only be utilized 20, let them focus on the 20% of the time. So I think that is where the industry is headed. That is becoming the new standard. And if you look at areas like Colorado Springs, Fort Worth, Texas, real progressive systems, that's what they're doing. And I think that's what we need to do here. You have some subsidy increases this year that have been board approved. You're going to go from $8.43 to $10 even per capita. It has also been thrown out as a potential help to bring this operation up to date, a $1 to $2 one-time subsidy this year per capita just to help the funding and purchase of those vehicles. Looking to purchase 4 of those SUV vehicles. To purchase them and outfit them is going to come in right around $70,000 total. But that's really the jump start we need to get this model up to date, get it in motion, and really get some data that we need to make a difference. So I just wanted to be here to answer any questions you may have. That's kind of it in a nutshell, so to speak. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything.
Thank you. How would you determine when the non-basic care will be needed? So
Sure.
that
So
specialized
the more
SUV?
advanced level of care.
Yes.
So right now, when a 911 call goes in, it goes into the county 911 center. They ask a series of questions to determine basically the severity of the patient that's in question. So the higher level or higher acuity calls that would be determined by 911 would either generate the BLS response, the ALS response, or both. Certainly, when our BLS providers get there and they need a higher level of care, they would have the opportunity then to request that through an intercept type system or something as well. So if the call comes in and it's known to be a higher level of care, that advanced life support unit would automatically be sent to it. An example? So an example would be some sort of high-level trauma that may require a medicine we call TXA to stop internal bleeding. That's a paramedic skill. So if we knew we had a bad car accident, we would send the transporting ambulance and the paramedic at the same time.
Thank you. When you say the cost total is $70,000, is that
Per
per
vehicle.
vehicle? Okay.
Yeah, per vehicle.
And is there any financial impact to the city?
That would be if the board agrees and approves. The impact you would see, I think, is whatever they decide on, whether it's $1 or $2 per capita, to kind of help boost that funding.
I'm guessing when you say board, you mean the city commission?
So Medic One would approve that as a board, as our board, yep. That's where that approval process would start.
Chair. I just wanted to clarify something. So the Medic One is governed by a board from a representative from each city and township. So I serve as the vote for the city of Benton Harbor on the Medic One board. I've sat through Jason's presentations now numerous times. And that's the reason I had him come here, because I wanted to make sure, because of the financial impact, the city is okay with it, because obviously I'm going to have to vote on it at some point. So that's where I wanted to make sure that the city is okay of any of the potential financial impact.
So when you say couple dollars per capita, you're talking about the population of
Yes.
each municipality?
Correct.
So roughly, if you say, you got one that got 10,000 people, so $2 times 10,000.
Correct. Yeah. That's what's been proposed.
And then, one other question.
Sure.
Have you did the studies on response time? I guess it's still kind of, at 80%.
Sure.
Versus 40%.
Yeah.
Going, but when, say, the first unit get there, like you said, if they see it's a need for somebody else, the EMT to come, what's the response time?
You're talking about the response time for the paramedic following them if they're needed?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's going to depend on where they're at the time, obviously, but there's very, very few scenarios, if any, where our basic level protocols don't allow the first initial several minutes of treatment that are more than adequate for that advanced life support unit to follow them up. So I don't foresee the response times for the following unit being an issue at all. The response times of the initial responding unit, whether it's advanced life support or basic life support, really doesn't change or go down at all because I'm not looking to decrease the number of resources out there for responding. I'm looking to increase them. So I foresee response times in general increasing because we're adding more resources. We're not taking anything away.
And so you said that this is occurring in other spaces and places, so you have like stats and data on
Yeah,
that?
I do. I have a whole presentation. It's about a half hour or so long. I didn't want to take that much of your guys' time today. I'll be happy to bring it any other time. But there's a lot of data out there to support this model.
How soon you looking at if everything goes okay?
Yeah, so the approval for the funding is the first part, obviously. Once the funding is approved, then the ordering of the vehicles. So my anticipation to implement, we could start up something probably within the next 30 to 60 days, but the full system to get the new vehicles and everything is probably going to be about 6 months, just because it takes that long to get new vehicles right now.
And you said that there's like a low not so much turnaround, but those desiring to be EMTs?
Yeah, so the paramedic world has been really struggling. There's a couple of different things, but primarily you go to school, it takes about 3 years, and then you're a paramedic. Well, you could do the same amount of school and become a nurse with far more opportunities, typically more pay, typically less hours. You're not outside on the street on a day like today. So that's just more appealing, and those are some of the challenges we deal with too. Some of the antiquated funding models, subsidy models, especially for a municipal service like us, have started to catch up with us, and it's been a struggle to get to competitive pay that competes with nursing and other avenues that requires the same amount of schooling.
The chief has been really good with recruitment. No, I'm just joking. I was going to say, get with him.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to get Kaz, public safety response. What you think about, what's your input on this? You think it's better to serve the city this way?
Yeah, I really do. And the city of South Bend would be the closest people to us using this model. They used it when I worked down there. They started it about 7 years ago. So they've been doing it. But there's many of these models throughout the country. Austin Travis EMS down in Texas, Wake County EMS in North Carolina. I mean, those are the true leaders in EMS. So, I mean, I'm all about being the leader in things. So I do support it. My only concern was there was a financial impact to the city, and I didn't feel that my lone vote should be the one casting that without you guys listening to it. So that's my concern.
Anybody else?
I don't know if this applies or not. I don't know too much about Medic, but I do have a question as reference to if this model does it. Your shift links, they're 24 hours,
Yeah.
which for us, anything over 14 hours, you're physiologically at a 0.07. So will this new model stay with the 24 hours, or is it going to be different for your shift allotment?
Yeah, so this is the start to a new model. The new model that I envision is breaking those shifts up. Maybe you have 12-hour shifts, 16-hour shifts, maybe some 8-hour shifts during the day when it's really busy. So this is kind of the start to a bigger project as far as more dynamic scheduling and things like that. Yeah, this is just the starting point. Yeah.
The one thing I want to add, and I've sat on the Medic One board now for 4.5 years, I think it is. Medic One is behind the 8 ball, and I was the secretary treasurer for a couple years of that, and I've seen the finances. The problem is previous management did not raise per capita rates for over 10 years. So when you think about you don't raise the fees for over 10 years, and then you expect to do business with inflation and everything, that's the problem. That's where they're playing catch up at right now. And for what we pay as a city for an ambulance, I don't remember exactly what it is. I know it's under 100,000. There is no way the city could ever do EMS for that. I mean, it would cost us $1 million a year to do EMS on our own. So we're basically, Medic One is a deal. There's no other way to say it.
So, who sit in that seat before you?
Mike Phelps was on the Medic One board before I was, and I don't know who was before Phelps.
Do have some level of confidence that you are sitting on that board, seem to be knowledgeable of what's going on. Have shown that you look out for the best interest of the city, so you got to be leaning on you as you say, go forward. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it.
Can citizens ask a question?
Yeah.
This is meat and potato night, where citizens get a chance to ask questions. My question is, probably not to you, sir,
Okay.
but to the city manager. Where is this money coming from?
At this point, I don't have an answer for you.
Oh, okay. But we're gonna vote on what today? Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? At this time, we're going to switch the agenda just a little bit there, because commission for one of the committee members here. We're going to go down to the resolution approving the Crescent Pillars Foundation. Park. Next, Mr. Got a star in roll in the plate, probably Oscar or something. All right, so what is that? All right, so actually, this is a resolution that's being put forward, actually, be put forward to Present Pillars adopted. Present Pillars adopting Franks Park. Can you kind of give us that?
Sure. So, to give you a little bit of background, well, at the beginning, so I grew up on Apple Street. So this is the park that I played in as a kid, all the way till I was 14. And now being a dad, it's the only park specifically built for toddlers in our city, right? So, Present Pillars being an organization that's directed at fathers, I figured it was fitting, right? Because we tend to focus on fathers in the early stages of their fatherhood journey. So I was looking at the park, and of course, it looks the same as it did when I was a kid. So I look at it as an opportunity to, come alongside the city and be able to offer that service to young families and things like that, but also have that nostalgia because, this is the park that I grew up in too. So what we're looking, what we're looking to do is a lot of cosmetic stuff for now. And then as years go on, we want to fundraise and see if we could help upgrade some of the equipment in the park. I've seen projects in Coloma, Silver Beach is now doing one, and I just feel like this is possible here too. So
To the manager.
Yes, sir. And it's something that I recommend. We have just recently done the same with the AKAs, where they adopted the park on Britain and Pipestone, and also with the fraternal organization, I believe I don't want to say name wrong because they're very sensitive about it, but they also adopted a park to take care of down on Riverview Drive. And I think this is a good thing. Now, in the proposal, they also reference being willing to, at some point later, put a small storage shed in on the property for maintaining equipment in and so forth, which we'll bring back later, because with those, we have to make sure that we set it up so that it's understood that once the shed's built, it belongs to the city and the park, because it's part of the property that's there. But we recommend it. We think it's a good move and hope that more will step up and adopt parks and maintain them.
Yes, definitely. I believe that's, the collaboration that, the city government should have with, citizens and organizations, to help alleviate, some of the things that need to be done that we don't always have the money to do. So, sound like a good idea to me. And anybody on the panel has any questions for Mr. Gunther?
Yes, Honorable Chair, I just want to thank you for stepping up and doing this. So I know that park sit back and you sometimes just drive right by it. And I know with your, the cosmetics and all the updates that are bringing out. So with the shed and all that, so you'll be in charge of keeping the grass cut and that
So-
too?
I think it's a little early for us to commit to grass, but keeping the park clean and things like that, we can commit to that now. I have youth workers, and I don't know yet how old they'll be, and that's what my hesitation is on the grass part, because I don't really want them to, or I don't want to be liable for them hurting themselves because they're minors. So until we really know a little bit more about that, we couldn't commit to that yet.
I'm sure we can work that out.
We could always set you up with a contractor that would do it for you. You just have to pay them.
Oh yeah, well,
We'll work it out. We'll work it
see what
out.
happens.
Expect great things.
I also wanted to add too, in the resolution that says 2025, we were looking for something more in perpetuity. So if that's possible too.
Okay, Mr. Manager, how do that work? Is just saying that it will go into effect then? There's no end date? I'm sure that
Basically.
either party could
Yeah.
opt out at one point or another.
Certainly, and we would certainly prefer to keep it going as long as it works. But if for any reason they can't, and they say they can't, then we have to take it back because it's still ours and do it. And likewise, if some problem occurs where it's not working, but otherwise it's just year to year.
Is that clear for you?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay. Anybody else?
Oh, one more addition, I'm sorry. I also want to acknowledge Home Depot. They did give us a grant to make this project possible, so thank you to Home Depot.
Okay, on the shed, is that going to be like built on site? I think that would be a good project to show some people how to build something too.
So the shed, so how it works is Home Depot gives us the grant and gift cards. So we would have to pay for a concrete slab, and then we would purchase that shed. It's like a pre-made shed from Home Depot. Yep.
Any questions from the citizens? Mr. Duncan?
It's the city's park, is that true?
Yes.
Then it's the city's responsibility to take care of the parks, cutting the grass. You shouldn't have to worry about cutting any grass. Like all the other parks that we've had taken care of, I said taken care of, and left the way they are, with no trimming of the sides of the park. We did a real nice job on Broadway Park. But when you look over at Pavone, nobody wants to drive down Pavone. You should have had, just like you put the court though, you did it backwards. why would you put that much money into a park and not fix the streets? You fixed Broadway, it took a long time to take care of Broadway. Now, Pavone is still messed up, holes off. Probably the biggest potholes in town is on Pavone next to our park, Broadway Park. You guys call it something else, but we always call it Broadway Park. The park this gentleman is speaking of is poorly taken care of. The grass is always high, there's trash all over the place. Then you want our kids to go out there and pick up the trash and all of that. I'm not about overworking our citizens. You take care of the grass, before you take care of the grass, the job is to pick up the trash first, then cut the grass. But some way or another, we got it all messed up. And that park there in particular don't need to be treated like that. It's been treated like that long enough. So I'm glad my brother wants to take and adopt it. But I want him to know that he should make sure the city takes care of their end of take care of their responsibilities at all times. Because otherwise he could bring a bunch of kids there to do something, and all of a sudden it's a bigger mess than the kids want to deal with. So, at least, thanks for hearing me out.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, if I might, I'd like just to remind us that this isn't a brand new concept. All over America, including right here in Benton Harbor. If I'm not mistaken, if you go at Pipestone past that park there, you still see signs from Kiwanis Club and Rotary and whatnot that have traditionally adopted parks and maintained them all over the United States. And it's good that we are stepping forward with our organizations to start to do the same thing in our communities.
Yeah, I was going to say something along those lines as city manager, being that this isn't new. I think it's great, and we was talking about this park and doing some like lactation and some different things in it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we're going to adopt it." So awesome, because it is a neglected but vital park that's in the Staple area, and like city manager was saying, I remember doing Adopt the Highway, all kinds of things like Kiwanis, Key Club. More organizations were more involved, even the Moose Lodges, and so it is something that we all need to do. And it was helping with picking up paper, so things of that nature. So that it was the purpose was to help the city and help the community as a whole. And so I think that this is huge, right? And there's been, like he said, one of the fraternities, which I don't want to mess up their name either, and then the ladies of the sorority was offering, but I feel like this should be a fad, right? If we're going to pick up something, like all these trends and stuff off TikTok, it doesn't matter the size of your organization. It could be classes, like, so even our class could possibly do it. And I think this should be a real push. I don't know if this is something that could possibly be on our city's website, but just highlighting this and encouraging this, I think it's awesome. Good job.
I think we definitely make it clear that we're not required the organization to cut any grass. We just whatever they offer. Even just eyes in the park is a plus. So it's they're not required. Ultimately, all the responsibility for maintenance and everything is on the city. So they're not being forced or required to cut the grass to adopt a park. So just whatever services that they can offer, because it's going to be a growing thing. Like he says, just starting out, might start out with 2 kids, might end up with 100, So it's a growing thing. So they're not being required to do that. So just wanted to make that clear. But you did have another question?
Yeah, I jumped on the defense, but I wasn't trying to stop anything or say anything against what he's doing. I'm just trying to make sure, and I like to see parks look nice because I do it myself. But this young man starting a new idea. He should get all the support from the city. He shouldn't have to even think or even be in a meeting talking about the grass getting cut in the first place. So I just want him to be successful, and I want the area to look nice too. That was one of the parks I grew up in too. And it has always been neglected. And I don't want it to be neglected anymore, and that's the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying. So if you gotta take offense to it, that's okay with me too. But at least you got a chance to hear me say what I needed to say, or feel like I needed to say it.
Think consensus to move this item forward? Oh, go ahead, Mr.
I just wanted to add, it's not a matter of getting on defense, it's a matter of enlightening. It isn't because the organization's adopting the park doesn't mean that it has to limit itself to children. Most of these organizations, they're grown men that get out there and do it. In fact, the corner of Ogden and Napier, where the old house was torn down that sits down there, the gentleman that lives right on the corner gets out there with his power mower and cuts that and keeps it looking like a park every other week. Because he just wants to do that. And people may very well volunteer. I mean, we're talking about a park that isn't much bigger than maybe a couple of yards at the most. Anybody could go out with a mower and put in an hour and cut it, and probably if they want. So it's not a have to. It's like you said, we'll accept whatever is offered. But if if you want and you have young men involved with the organization, they could very well cut the grass. It just depends.
Oh,
Let's
Also-
let them respond, and then we'll.
also want to add, I look at this, like I said, I grew up in this park, and I see the importance that this park has served for young families. And as a Benton Harbor, I'm a son of Benton Harbor, so whatever we can do, we will do. It's not a question of us being taken advantage of or anything like that. This is our city too, so, yeah.
I mean, it was just real quickly. Y'all know I'm passionate about parks and such activities as this. And I mean, we have to be honest that it's not happening like it did when we were kids. Like my mom sent us down the street to clean a park up. We had to pick up paper, and we are adding to the city because we're not holding our kids accountable. We're not picking up our own paper. And so this is just a give back, or really more accountability, because who trashed it or who left things in it that need to be picked up. So I'm huge on giving back. So.
All right, consensus to move forward, we said yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Top of the agenda, and that will be the Department of Public Safety, Building Permit, and Code Compliance fee schedules.
Good evening. We actually have, there's going to be like a kind of a part two, which is related but unrelated to what's actually on the agenda, but will flow quickly and expeditiously. Excuse me. So as we know, for probably a couple years now, because it kind of got dropped back in September of 23, we have been working on improving, bringing our construction fees up to a reasonable standard with our contemporaneous agencies. Excuse me. So we've had that discussion, and we went back to legislative committee last week, and with the discussion to bring it here to our committee for discussion, and then ultimately, I think we're right there to move it to the Finance Committee, which I'm dreading to go to, but the Finance Committee for them to make the final recommendation to go to the full commission. So with that being said, excuse me, this is, it's kind of complicated, but it's easy, if that makes any sense. So here's the good news. Because of actions that the commission has taken before by approving a plethora of building code, ICC, the state of Michigan, their code processes, kind of by default, we've already kind of approved the permit fees. So what I mean by that is all permit fees in Michigan are based on Public Act 72, I'm sorry, Public Act, 230 of 1972, which is more commonly known as the Still-DeRoset-Hale Act. And what that does is set really all the rules for building construction for the state of Michigan. So we had been talking about bringing our fees up to the UBC, the Unified Building Code of 1997, because even that, in 1997, they haven't updated it since then, but that's the standard that a lot of municipalities use. So we had been talking about that. But as we were discussing this, and of course by suggestion of our great clerk, who did a good job this time, brought into the discussion, she knows I love her. Into the discussion, there's also a state of Michigan standard that goes kind of hand in hand with Public Act 230. So what we want to do, so we're already at to the point where we all agree, I believe, that we want to bring our fees up to basically the industry standard. The question is, are we going to use UBC 97 or the Bureau of Construction Code permit and inspection fee schedule? Now, here's the difference. 1997 was established in 1997 and hasn't been changed since. But people still use it. Matter of fact, in our county, St. Joe Township and Niles Township use that model. With the Bureau of Construction Codes, the state one, again, we just want to add clarity. We've already kind of accepted it, but we want to have clarity to it. And if we were to adopt this one, just like we've done with other things, the commission has adopted, for example, the International ICC, the National Code Council. So whenever there's a new building code, like say they come out with a 2027, then we automatically update that. You guys don't have to vote every time there's a change. Well, with the state one, there's some benefits to it because they do update it, and the last time it was updated was April 1st, 2024. So again, if we decide we want to adopt this one, we'll just have to meet to it every time the state of Michigan revisits and makes changes. Now, with that being said, here's where I'm about to pass to Mike. Another benefit, and Cass can explain this far better than I can because it looks like literally a bunch of numbers on a page. There's also added benefit to the state one because it is done differently for residential residents that are doing some minor fixes to their home versus commercial. So it's not based on one size fits all, which we know Sister Henry, Commissioner Henry was big about. Okay, let's not overcharge the residents. So there's a benefit there. Whatever we decide, either if we go to UBC 97, the Bureau of Construction Code, or we decide we want to just make up our own, the key is that we are in line and we would update our ordinance to say that it would be in line with the Public Act 230 of 1972 so that we're covered no matter what we decide to do. So with that being said, I'll have Kaz describe, and I don't know, I think there's copies of this, but we can get you copies of this on how the square foot construction cost table is used.
So I'm going to put this in very simple terms because the table is extremely confusing. What this does is it allows the residents to pay less and it charges the businesses more. So a business property gets a higher permit because there's more to it than a house would. So if a resident's putting on a roof, they're going to pay the least amount, or if they're doing some remodeling. However, if somebody's building a new business in town, they're going to be the ones paying the most. So commercial properties get higher fees based on that schedule than residential properties. So when we look at how we want to treat our residents, right, we talk about quality of life. To me, here's another quality of life thing. The residents would pay less, the people making money off our residents would pay more.
Yeah, it's the one you were just talking about, is that the state? The state.
Yeah, correct. It's the one the clerk found that I didn't even know existed. So, once again, we got to thank her because I'd done a ton of research and never found this, so.
I'm sure she found it by pure accident, but
I knew exactly what I was looking for.
touche.
All right. Any questions, anybody? Mr. Duncan?
When you're raising the rates, are the citizens involved in that part of the equation?
He must have walked out when he just talked.
I did.
All right, so explain to him again. So this answers directly to your question. Actually, I wish Commissioner Henry was here because this is a question she asked too. So this is going to be an answer to your question directly.
So, Mr. Duncan, and you were here last week when we talked about it. However, the clerk actually found a different table through the state of Michigan. This table charges residential properties less and commercial properties more. So a citizen doing a roof on their house would pay less than somebody building a new building. So, when we look at quality of life, is what I had said, and we're all about the quality of life of our citizens, they're going to have more money in their pocket versus somebody coming in to make money off our citizens is going to pay more.
Thank you. Good to hear that.
And that suggests that the owner of a property that's using it for rental would pay more than an owner who lives in the
I need to verify that, but I think that answer is yes, because it's a different class of residential property. So there's like 8 classes of property on this thing, so that probably would be, but I will clarify that for you, Mr. Manager.
Any other questions? Okay. So this moves on to the,
Different but related. So we talked about last week. Really, the whole impetus on this is that we have not been collecting what we need to. Stuff on the books and even things that are on the books, we haven't been able to be successfully consistent. But even with, and we talked about, to Mr. Little's point, landlords who are either not registering their property or actually paying for their invoices. And Kaz has a list of some properties. I'll let him explain and go over this briefly for the committee. But these are the things we're talking about. We got people that are coming in, taking advantage of our residents, our citizens, because I'm sure these are all rentals. And you got people that are just thumbing their nose and just not paying. That's not acceptable.
I'm going to back up just a hair, and then I'll go forward. So I took over code compliance a year ago, and it's 13 months ago now, and it's been a journey. And one of the things we found is this invoicing problem. We use BS&A for invoicing. It's a very antiquated system. We have a hard time getting reports out of it that tell us what's past due, what's not past due, who paid. So between Rhonda and Ryan Luker, they were able to pull finally a report together. And we have right now, let me see here, just on rental fees alone, so landlords have not paid $26,909 of rental fees. So now we're instituting a brand-new invoicing system so we can pull reports monthly to see this type of thing. Last month, in the month of January, we had a fire in a rental home on Union that was not registered, had never been inspected, had illegal electrical work done. So that's where the rental fees come to, is because we have to do inspections of these property where our citizens are living, right? So that becomes the issue. So that's why these rental fees are so important, the inspection piece, et cetera. The one that I find more disturbing than this, though, and I don't know, no, it's not, it's in another one. It's not in this report, but that's the business registration fees. Because most of our liquor stores in town have not paid their liquor fee, their tobacco fee, their gas pump fee. Once again, those are places making money off the citizens of Benton Harbor, not paying to Benton Harbor. And I bet you if we looked at it even more, I bet you their income tax is probably an issue as well. So these are the places we need to be hammering, is the people that are making money off our citizens. And Chair, just one thing, those fees are, I want to, don't quote me, but I want to say it's about $80,000 of those fees we're missing right now. So that, if you look at these fees, that's $100,000 missing from the city. So we're talking about where to get money to pay Medic One and where to, that's the fees we need to bring in.
And recall, we were at legislative last week to start the discussion, because right now, we don't have any penalties in our ordinance for anything. Nothing. Building permits, these rental registrations, and we got to get some teeth into our ordinances, because we find these things, but as of now, so what? Nothing we can do.
So in one of these things, so we have a liquor store in town that had a 16-year-old kid with a gun working behind the counter where there was an arrest made, but they don't have any of their fees paid up as well. So these folks are hurting us all the way around, right? I mean, that's what we have to have some enforcement action. And that's the piece where right now there's some people very upset with code enforcement because we towed some cars off out of downtown today because they didn't belong there. But they'd been warned 6 times prior. So if we want this town to look good, we got to have rules and follow the rules. So, and I appreciate the commission's support. And Mr. Little, I couldn't ask for better when it comes to that because he supports everything I do. And believe me, there's sometimes he gets yelled at for what I do.
And I'd like to just comment that this isn't about just, quote, making money. It's about recovering the costs necessary to provide the service that we should provide for the safety and operation of our city. We're not doing anything any different or any more than any other city in these United States. And if we're going to have a functioning city, we've got to provide these services, because every city I've been in, if landlords aren't paying these registration fees and whatnot, they don't get an occupancy permit. And if they don't get an occupancy permit, water don't get turned on, sewer doesn't function, even the gas and electric utilities don't in many of these cities function. And it forces them to pay. It's nothing more than the cost of doing business. And if they don't want to do that, they should get in some other business.
So found too that if you don't enforce those little things like that, it gives creates the atmosphere to do the bigger things, you know. Just like you say, the kid up there working in the store with the gun on, you know. I guess they figured everything was okay because they wasn't paying their registration fees and stuff, so they're getting away with those little things, and it just grows into bigger things. And I think it's just time to change the atmosphere around here. That just got to do right, and people are expecting, a safe, clean, orderly place. And I think that's how you do it.
Chair, would you mind if I added one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this week, number one, you're right. Those liquor stores don't think we're watching them, so they do this, right? But number two, this week, but back to the rental inspection piece, we've had 2 house fires this week. One, a very small fire on Colfax in a rental property with illegal electrical work again. The other one, a rental property on McAllister that's going to be an electrical fire as well. And what we keep finding is new wiring tied to old knob and tube wiring from the 1920s, 1930s. And because no one's been watching these people do this work, and that's why these inspections are so important, because somebody's going to get killed again in one of these fires if we don't.
Okay, anything else on that?
So is this like phase one? Because this is just in regards to enforcing the fees. I mean, are we actually talking about what consequences or the teeth that you were referencing?
Yes.
And just on those, one of the things that would happen is a contractor would be charged double the permit fee because they know the rules, so they would be automatically doubled. A resident would just be warned the first time, but a contractor would be double the permit fee.
So what's our next step on this? Go.
Take this to Finance Committee next week with a final recommendation between the two choices. Want a spreadsheet report done well before the meeting, so the committee and the commission can look at that and digest the options.
Mr. Duncan.
After you go through the process, that's when you can start collecting some of these fees that these guys, or is it gonna take a while to get that started? Is it something comes after the okay, or we have to wait?
As far as I know, we can start right away unless somebody tells me something different.
Thank you.
'Cause
All right.
I'm sorry, one more question. Because I mean, what I'm thinking though, can you like close doors of like BJ's and such stores because could it be like if you're this much behind, you close the door on it?
Yeah. There are legal processes that we have to go through, and unfortunately, it's more difficult than what it ought to be because we are just starting to try to enforce these things. But cities all over the country deal with this, and we will too eventually. And it's not just this, but this is a step in a number of areas that the city is not getting what it should in terms of the services that it tries to provide. And we'll just continue to work on it. And quite frankly, as a manager, I'm thrilled to have a team that wants to do this stuff and do it right.
Mr. Duncan.
I'm a citizen, and I'm glad you guys are on the team, because like on BJ's, when they put all of that graffiti, that's not even graffiti, just painted all of the bricks in the driveway, and then there was a shooting that I never did hear the end of how that came up, how that turned out. But, yeah, if we can get rid of the graffiti, get rid of the, just unnecessary cars and noise and all of that. I mean, it's a store, it's not a park. Thank you.
So we'll see this item again next week at the Personnel Finance Committee. Let's move to the next item on the agenda. Is it resolution establishing the garbage collection rate? Mr. Manager. Next item on the agenda is the a resolution establishing the collection rates.
Yes, as you will recall, we met before and talked about the need to adjust the rates to develop a system where people would purchase stickers to pay for some of the additional stuff that gets put out and added, everything from mattresses to you name it. And this is the next step in moving toward that. And we did promise we'd come back, and that's what we got tonight. We want to talk about the fees.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Nick Gunn, and I've been able to work with the city for a few months now, since the summer. And beginning this winter, a university student, and for winter break, brought to Mr. Little that I was interested in helping the city continue to work on this project. So I was able to spend some time working on this project. So we created this resolution, and hopefully it'll pass on to the committee, this committee, and to the board, to the commission. So here are a few things that I'll just be discussing. I gave you all a packet. And you guys will be able to see some of the information that I'll be sharing and was able to find. So we'll just talk a little bit about the overview of the resolution that was passed by the City Commission already. We'll talk about the reasons for the resolution, key amendments in the resolution, the current costs of the operations for the City of Benson Harbor, and the proposed rate adjustments, sticker systems for the large items, and the community engagement that we were able to do with this project, and the benefits of this amendment.
Just as a reminder, the first thing we did was modify the ordinance so that we stop putting rates in ordinances and we adjust the rates with a resolution. And want to extend my thanks to Nick for the great work he's doing on this for us.
Thank you. So again, I began working on this in December, and I was able to again meet with the City of Ben Harbor staff, and I went to Portage, Michigan, met with their city manager, and they're currently working on a problem similar that's happening in their city. Their rates are from anywhere from $60 to $100 residents are paying for trash pickup. So it's they're paying a lot of money. Benton Township, they've recently raised their rates to $20. Berrien Springs, I met with their clerk and some of their city officials, and I met with the City of St. Joseph, some of their public works officials, and was able to just get lay of the land of how public works deal with trash in different communities. So, overview of the resolution. On October 7th, 2024, the Ben Harbor City Commission voted to amend the city's garbage, refuse, and litter ordinance. The October resolution suggested that the City Commission further approves collection category and rates. So, within the packet on page 3, just talks a little bit about what's all within this amendment. So the key amendments were rates and changes. Let's see. So the reasons for the resolutions, the city was losing. City saw that it was losing a lot of revenue, and I have some of the numbers from this past fiscal year. Where you can see some of the fees and the losses that the city took. So within this ordinance, I believe that it will definitely help the city gain revenue, especially to help with the city's expenses towards garbage. Billing structure, the city saw that it didn't have a structure for billing when it comes to extra large garbage items. Someone has a big couch they want to get rid of. They put it out there, and Public Works would be picking it up sometimes without, someone calling in and wanting to have it thrown away and paying for it, because the city has to pay for this to be thrown away when they take it to the landfill. So the rates were costing the city more, but the residents weren't paying for it. So we needed the structure for billing for those large items, and also the city saw that we wanted to tailor garbage collection categories. So just some of the key amendments that were already approved. We just went over those. So here are the costs of the current operations from the fiscal year ending in 2024. This details some of the costs, so you guys can look at that, and that's going to be on page 5. It details the costs, and you can look at all the costs. So garbage truck, it's costing the city money. Fuel, costs for employees. And this essentially just tells you that the city was losing $36,000, essentially overpaying pretty much from what the city was receiving. So this, you can look at those just to not waste time. You can see those. Yes. Yeah, so for that year, in 2024, so the city was paying, so the total cost for operations was $537,000, and so for the revenue, so the revenue is what the city was receiving. So the residents are paying, $17.65. So that's what the city's receiving. And that number that's on the screen in red, that's how much the city is losing. So so pretty much the number, you subtract the number, and yeah. So that's how much the city is losing.
And that was a very conservative number. Yes, it's a good bit more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's just a picture, an example of what, this would be going. I have a ton of pictures, but to save time, I just have a few pictures that I'll show you all. So I have let's actually go to the rates. You guys will see this on the last page when it's going over the stickers. So this was a community engagement collaboration. We were able to go to Discovery Enrichment Center, and we were able to see a lot of the students there in the art class, and the students were able to draw, pretty much help us design these stickers. So it was fun to be able to talk to the students about garbage. Mr. Little was able to go, and also Dane, and we had a city commissioner also were able to come and talk about the important things that the community is doing. And yesterday at the school board meeting, they mentioned it, and they said that the students had a great time, and the school was happy to be able to help with the city with that. So on the last page, it just goes over the collection rates that we like to see help. So these would be stickers. I have some examples. It's a type of paper. The type of paper that we could put them on, as an example, it's called crack and peel. And with this kind of paper, it pretty much just crack it and they peel. You peel it. So this is the kind of paper that we could print these on. It'll be cheaper than trying to, get a specific kind of sticker. But this, you just, you crack it and you peel it off, and it'll be pretty cheap. We'll be able to have it on a spreadsheet. It'll be easy for help with audits. But we'll be able to keep track. And residents, I was able to test this out, sticking it on, different desks and couches and everything, and it sticks pretty well. When a resident calls to the city hall, they'll say what they have. They can show us a picture of it, and they'll be able to give them a sticker depending on each item. So every item would need to have a sticker on it, and each sticker will cost this depending on which category they would like. So say if you have 2 bicycles and you have one bag of trash, that'll be $2 for the 1 bag of trash, which would be 30 pounds. And you have 2 bicycles, that'll be $12. So pretty much you'll get those 3 stickers, you put those on those items of trash you have, so.
And the stickers will be pre-numbered so that we can track what stickers and make sure they're legitimate and not being counterfeited.
Yep, and we'll keep a spreadsheet also, and it'll detail the residents. The residents will have their address on there, and we'll be able to communicate with Public Works to let them know at this address they have to pick up. In the resolution, it also states that if a resident puts out puts out, their trash anyway without communicating and purchasing a sticker, the city manager will be able to, will work on a fee that they would pay since they didn't communicate that. But we still would like to make sure that the costs are covered and we're not just picking it up and losing money. So,
That fee be the same. Since they didn't call
Yeah.
to get the sticker, somebody else.
yep.
Yeah, there should be a penalty
Yeah, it'll-
involved. I mean, you can't run a house with kids in it without a penalty. And the city government certainly isn't gonna work any different.
What would be, have we established a penalty yet?
Not yet, no. But definitely it would be the cost of what they put out plus the additional fee.
So I think it's a question and a comment. So I think like in township, like say if you put out an item and they pick it up, they just put it on your water bill for the following month.
Yep.
So is that something we're talking about doing?
Yep, that's what will be happening.
And if we do that, will we still need a penalty fee? Because we're going to charge them anyway.
There's a lot of extra work to do that, and they should have to pay a penalty because if they simply go down there and buy them, then they don't have the issue. And if you're not gonna penalty, then you may as well not do it because nobody's gonna pick up any.
It's nice.
Thank you.
It's nice. So I am thinking of like seniors and different individuals. What does that process look like in regards to coming to get the sticker or knowing, this whole process? And then how would this be shared? Will it only be on social media? Will it accompany like a water bill? But I'm just thinking like seniors or, disabled individuals that may have people that go pay their bill for them and things like that. And if they didn't do it, then it falls on them. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. How are we accommodating for that?
And I think the best way is probably the same way that they handle paying their water bill, their trash bill, and any other. They can get them right there at the same window at the same time. But we'll have to do all we can to disperse the information, social media, flyers, whatever we can do to get the message out.
Guess I'm thinking about and I get to the person who, say like a handicapped person, elderly person or something that can't come down, if they call and say, hey, or somebody call for them, say, we're gonna be sitting out 3 extra bags or a bicycle or something, can somebody come bring me a sticker or something, or, that's, because somebody gotta come anyway, right?
We could look at a way of doing it where we either get the sticker to them or make note of it and just add it on to their bill for 'em.
Right, and I understand, the person who just ain't gonna call and they able to do it, and they just trying to get away, but for a person who really trying to, got the extra stuff and can't make it down, we gotta end up picking it up anyway, but as long as somebody call and, the city already know that it's gonna be set out, somebody can put the sticker on and, how is this gonna be accounted wise, is through that immediately go into some type of database to know to put that on the next month's bill?
Work out, we'll have to come up with a system to do it.
Anybody? Director, did you have?
You basically said what I was thinking. 'Cause I know also, again, in the township, you can call to have a chair and pay right over the phone and it's just, they know, so when the collection team comes, picks it up, they just grab it because it's already paid for. So on the inside, we got to get a logistic on who's responsible for, because if, meat should get, hey, here's for the day, here is those that are paid versus those that aren't. Because now we're also putting more pressure on these guys, because now they got to check, or if there's nothing there, write down, I'm assuming, the address that.
But in the same token, when that code enforcement know that people not call it, they understand we're leaving trash. So that's what's going on now. People, we picking up so much trash, and people's not accountable for their trash. You know, you might, now especially tax time here now, we're gonna have a lot of furniture out there. So we gotta get this together.
I agree. Go ahead,
I was thinking too, along the lines of possibly some recycling, and this would be a good time to push that, like the TV boxes and things like that. I know that's something, city manager, that could be, included and pushed out at some point to help people consider that box, you could have broke it down, or, instead of it being additional items sitting alongside that's not inside the container. I'm just still wrapping my head around this, and then the increase from what it was before. But, I mean, I understand that we need to have individuals accountable for, especially a lot of times they have a whole nother trash can or a makeshift one. So there needs to be some accountability, but I'm just wrapping my head around, say, like seniors that have people go pay their bill for them or things of that nature to pick it up and still have a fee, even though it's going to be put on there. I'm just wrapping my head around it. I don't know how I feel about it.
I think we have to recognize that it's not the seniors that are basically unable to get around. They're not going to be putting couches and stuff out in front of the house. It's other people doing that can get around and so forth. But we'll just have to work it as we go to do whatever it takes to make it work. I mean,
bottom line is being able to get the money to.
That's right. We're
operate a
covering the
business.
costs that we have to spend. Yeah, because when he goes up there to the dump, and nobody's gonna give him a pass and say, well, don't pay for this couch because it may have come from a senior citizen. They're gonna charge us regardless of what it is. And we've gotta pay it, and we've been paying it. But it's also been running a big deficit because it's pulling right out of the general fund where the money for everything else has to come from that's going up.
Okay. So what's the next move? We want to push this resolution to move? Yeah. This is ready to go to the full commission.
So before the tweaks, or, I mean, like before answers as to the game plan for, the questions like the chief asked and I asked?
We'll work that out as we implement the process. Don't worry. It'll be covered. If we sit back and wait to try to cover every eventuality before we do this, we'll be having this discussion 10 years from now. Let's do what we need to do, and we'll do what we have to do to make it work.
Okay. Duncan.
This is a slow-moving train. I had 2 trash cans full of leaves and stuff. The empty one left out. If you guys had this together already, and you asked me to pay for the for the full one that you left, I'd gladly give you the money empty. But now I'm sitting up with my extra trash can full of leaves and bushes and stuff, when it could have been taken care of just this easy. You could come to my door, a citizen, you could come to their door and tell them, here's the sticker, you can pay for it right now. Can you do that? Because I would have done that. I'd have paid whatever you guys had to ask me to empty that trash can, because I pick up, you guys always talking about citizens who don't do something, but when you got citizens who do pick up the street and all of that, then you can't get the support, no support, leave my trash can full for the whole winter. Is it something I can pay as a citizen to come get you to empty my trash can? And it's not trash, it's bushes and leaves. If you need the money, I'll give you the money to give me access to my trash can instead of it sitting up all winter. I don't think any one of you guys would want your trash can full all winter. So,
Hopefully that, this here will be working out some of those issues. Go ahead.
I'm trying to get an understanding if, this is why we really needed what was that newspaper they were trying to get, where the citizens could get it in, all of this information in the mail, and wouldn't have to come to a meeting to sit up and talk about it, and then have concerns, the same thing, the same concerns that you guys call complaints and won't even act like I'm complaining right now, when I'm not. I'm trying to settle it, just like I thought you guys were trying to settle it, but I'm not getting any satisfaction if you just go on into something else and not give me some kind of a satisfaction. And that's what citizens come here trying to get, while y'all talk about me complaining. So if you want to call this complaining, call it what you want to, I don't care. But if I can get you to $10, $7, $15 to come and empty my leaves out of my trash can, if you sweat me as a citizen, I'll do it. Otherwise, I expect different from you guys. Yes, sir. I'm finished.
Okay. One other thing is that when the city took over the trash, it never was no rules made.
I
So,
understand that.
and this is right now, at the beginning stage of getting rules made. So, we don't have the problems where people say we should be picking this up, or having the problem say this should have been gone. We trying to work together now so we can get the trash, because on your water bill, you only pay for 95 gallon trash can. I can probably go past 30 or 40 houses a day that got well over 96 gallons worth of trash can. So this is to implement all the rules that we got. We're trying to make we can make the citizen a lot better, and make the citizens more happy. So, in this token that you might miss the trash, we have a problem with the dump. We probably couldn't get back to it. It's just a lot of things that's going on that everybody don't know about it, but we hear about it when the dump calls. We can't take no more leaves. We can't do this. It's a lot. So we're trying to get everything set for everybody to we can make this a happy place with people picking up their trash. It's real simple. Just come down here, pay the $2, $6, $12, $35. I mean, it's a lot of trash extra. I mean, I see the bills every day.
I'm not against anything you guys trying to do. I'm for it, actually, but you guys seem like you're on defense again.
Oh, no, I'm not on the defense.
I just, like all other citizens, especially when you get a certain age, you get a little grumpy. You sound grumpy if you ain't grumpy. And I feel grumpy because I thought I had this settled, and it turned out I ended up with one left for school anyway. What I would like to do, they were trying, maybe we should talk about that newsletter again, where the citizens can really see what's going on, instead of trying to go on the internet and all of that, trying to figure that out, because a lot of us are not internet savvy. So, and we don't buy the Herald Palladium. Most of us don't. They even said only 2% of the people in Ben Harbor buy the Herald Palladium. So if the messaging don't reach somebody like me, then I'm listening. I want to work with you guys. I am a little perturbed about it, but I'm not to the point where I want to get in you guys' way. I want you guys to continue doing what you're doing. But I'm always speak up for me and my people. So, otherwise, you can call it anything you want to. I don't care what you call it. I'm looking right at you.
At the risk of sounding grumpy, the manager's office commits that we'll do whatever we have to do to make it work.
We get rid of that trash can out my yard, manager, man.
Okay, and so, yeah,
Help, I'm saying help. When the time comes.
so yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it's some kind of process for figuring that out in regards to the elderly or whoever disabled, somebody's paying their bills, and that they're aware of this sticker process way in advance rather than, after the fact, and the additional fines and different things of that nature. But, yeah, so that's the only thing that I was asking about.
So basically, what I think what she's saying, and I'm saying the same thing, it's something that need to be done, but let's do it with some compassion.
Right, I'm not gonna say we just go out and just start attacking people. We just, might have a warning, this is your warning. Next trash day, you might, we gotta start knocking on doors and everything besides, we just can't just start pushing this. We're gonna push it on people to start paying, but if they miss, we know somebody's in the house, maybe 80, 90, older or whatever, yeah, we knock on the door and let them know you need to call City Hall or, because most of the time, when we don't pick up somebody's trash, they're out there, when they come back around the street, they're out there cussing them out. So, I mean, the people know what's going on. It's not like, even, and most of the time, we say elderly, somebody put their trash out there for them. So somebody's there to know. We didn't pick up their mother's trash, we didn't pick up their father's trash. Somebody put it out there for them.
Well, it's going to be some bumps in the road in the beginning, but eventually, I think, to getting to the point that we need to get, we got to start somewhere. So hopefully, there's a campaign, and Nick, good job on your thing there. And I think stuff like this have to get out to the public as a whole. So I think we've started that communication, and it just it's going to take a big education piece. It's going, like I said, it's going to be bumpy in the beginning, but sooner or later, the intent get all over town, and it'll become a everyday process. So we got to start somewhere. So
And we may even generate some door hangers, just like they do for electric company, water, or anything. Go by, we picked it up today, but next time you'll need to have a sticker, go down to City Hall, or send somebody down, or whatever. And there are ways, we'll just work it out. Where there's a will, there's a way.
consensus to move this item.
Consensus, great job, Nick.
Thank you.
Good presentation.
Yeah. Some of the teachers said they wanted to buy it just because.
You presenting something today?
Yeah, because it's the kids, so.
No, real quick, if I may, a lot of projects are starting in March. I'm gonna be coming here next month to do a full presentation on when things start. City Hall parking lots are gonna start in the middle of March, so I'll be here at the next public safety meeting to give an update on what to expect on the City Hall parking lots and some of the other major projects that are starting that we awarded a couple months ago. So, expect to see that next month.
We did have public comments. I think everybody have spoken.
Hi, Artelia Martin Smith on behalf of the Benton Harbor Jenkins. Committee and Celebration. Thank you, Mr. Nick. I guess we put the cart before the horse. I wasn't really sure. Director, good evening, everybody. I'm sorry, I know you guys are probably ready to go. Director McGinnis, who normally would put our resolution together for the waiving of the park fee, the application to the state for use of Main Street for the parade. He is not heading that part up anymore, but I was just telling him, we have done a resolution. I've given it to the city clerk, and she can get it sent around, and you guys can then let us know what we need to do in connection with Safety Director McGinnis. And so I guess I could get on I would need to get on the agenda.
Okay, yeah, since we got it, and I guess they'll pass it around, but this will be forwarded to the Park and Recreation Committee.
Is that where we need to go? Park and Recreation? Okay.
I think meet
Okay,
on the
we work-
fourth Wednesday. Yeah, 2 Wednesdays from now.
2 Wednesdays from now?
Yeah, mhm.
Okay. Park and Rec. Okay, even with the parade route, all of that, everything needs to go? Okay. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I enjoyed it, too. No, Thank you.
Any more comments? City Manager.
Yes, I just want to restate for the general public that the last housing rehab program that we announced receiving a grant for has not yet been implemented, so we're not taking separate applications or anything for that yet. But at the same time, I want to share the information that when it is implemented, it's going to be very similar to the HUD CDBG program that we already operate, in that it has to be the homeowner that's making the application, that they have to have insurance on their property, taxes, water bills and sewer bills and whatnot have to be paid up, that they'll have to sign a lien on their property for the work that's done. And most of the amounts that run larger, 25,000 and up, will be 10-year liens that are forgivable 1 year at a time, so that if a person lives in the house 10 years, the end of the 10 years, the loan is totally forgiven and the lien is released. But if they're there 1 year, then only 1/10 of it is forgiven. If somebody tries to sell the house and they've been there 3 years, they're going to have to pay off the balance of that loan, that other 7 years. Same thing in terms of changing ownership on property or doing things like that. Because these are government funds and they are loans. They're loans until they're forgiven when they become grants. And these are just the conditions that come with it. And I want to also emphasize to people that just as a current program, we have just so much money and allocate just so much money to an individual property. If that property has a great deal more problems than what we can address, the best we can do is to come to some arrangement with them as to what the worst situations are that would be addressed, and that when we finish, a lot of those other things are going to still be there. And it's not our responsibility, and we're not going, and another thing, because I just went through this with visiting somebody that we had done work for a year ago that's still complaining now. we don't have any ongoing maintenance responsibility on these things. When they go in there and finish that project, and you sign off that you've gotten what was agreed to and so forth, the city is through. If something suddenly comes up that isn't part of this, isn't defective work, they got to get somebody else to take care of it. Don't start calling the city, didn't do this, and the city, we're not supposed to. We're not signing on for a lifetime, you know. But I just wanted to mention that.
Thank everybody for coming out. It's a little bad outside, so drive home safe. Take your time.